Good morning, everyone. Happy Monday. I hope you all had a wonderful and marvelous weekend. I am Iris Owens, your host of D.I.V.E, Diversity, including various ethnicities. And thank you all for joining us today. I have a wonderful and marvelous guest on the line with me today. But before I introduce him and introduce us, we start our chat today. I want to say also, again, happy, we're still celebrating Hispanic Heritage Month. Today is also Indigenous People Day. So let's celebrate their culture and their history and their contributions to us and to the world. And we're just going to jump in and get started. So I want to say Dobar Dan to Muamer Music. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Iris. I'm doing well. Thank you so much for this opportunity. Thanks for calling me marvelous and wonderful. That's the nicest thing anybody said to me all week.
You are marvelous and wonderful. From the first time I met you, I was like, oh my God, he's awesome.
And it very much so felt the same way about you. I knew that we would be instant friends as soon as I met you. And I think we talked for 5-10 minutes and
we did.
I think you and I connected.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So I don't want to waste any precious time. So I want to jump right in, and I want you to share what and who and how Muamer Music is and how you got here and how you got to this place right here.
I'd love to share that. It's one of the things that I'm most proud of is my story, how I came up. So I was born in Bosnia-Herzegovina back in 1992. Literally 6 months into the collapse of civilization in Bosnia. Civil war started in 1992. My dad fought in that war, protected the homeland, and many atrocities occurred during that war. It was essentially the worst humanity had to offer, between corruption, between crime, people using that as an opportunity to take advantage of other people. There was genocide during the war as well, and about 100,000 people died during that war. There was one event during that war, which is called the Srebrenica Massacre. And in that, due to UN inaction, 8,000 people died in Srebrenica, Bosnian Muslims, which is what I am, what my family heritage is. So I'll give you a little bit more background on Bosnia. Bosnia is a very multi-ethnic country. We have Bosnian Muslims, which comprise about 50% of the population. There's Bosnian Serbs, which are about 30% of the population, and then Bosnian Croats, which are 20% of the population. So these are all essentially the same people as far as heritage, but they've Bosnian Croats are Catholics, Bosnian Serbs are Orthodox Christians, and then Bosniaks, which is what we call the Bosnian Muslims, my community. They're obviously Muslim due to Ottoman influence when the Ottoman Empire ruled Bosnia. So I'm giving you too much background there. I'll get back
to that's it. No, that when I was reading the information that you sent over, I said, wow, I didn't even realize how diverse it was, your country is and was. And I'm thinking, wow, see, these are the things we don't know. We just assume that we hear something and we think we know enough, and we don't. We have no idea. So no, thank you.
Of course. And so with the war, it was the longest siege in modern history. The siege of Sarajevo, it was from April 1992 to February 1996. So almost 4 years of tanks being positioned in the Sarajevo mountains, shooting rounds down into the city. There were snipers in the tallest buildings that were taking shots at civilians. So yeah, the atrocities that we experienced, I could literally talk about those all day, but luckily the war ended in 1996. The Dayton Accords, which is the peace treaty signed by all three parties, was signed in December of 1995. And I just want to make sure I have my dates here correct. And after that, my parents moved over to America with myself and $400 in their pocket as refugees. So we moved to Sandy Springs, which is where I live now. We lived in these tiny apartments, rundown apartments that don't even exist anymore. They're high-end townhouses now. And actually,
Yes.
I bought a condo about honestly zero point 0.1 miles away from where we initially moved. So I've come full
Wow.
circle. I very much so love Sandy Springs. I love Georgia.
Mhm.
It's Bosnia and Georgia have made me the man that I am today. So just like just like Bosnia, Atlanta's a multi-ethnic town, and
Yes, it is.
I love it. I always say that the secrets in life are found in those little conversations that you have every day. My girlfriend always says, "Don't talk to strangers, don't talk to strangers." But I've learned so much from strangers who give you that little piece of information, or
Mhm.
whether it's a good point of view or a bad point of view, you process it, and then you kind of apply it to your life, or don't apply it to your life, that
Right.
mentality. So
Correct. Correct. You strike me though as when I met you for the very first time. I, you don't strike me as a person who meets strangers, number one, because I don't think I meet strangers, right? I think I meet someone and I begin to speak with them and I ask questions about them. And the moment I heard your name, what did I say to you? I said, okay, tell me more.
you did.
And we instantly connected and started speaking, and I thought, oh my god, this is so exciting. And to me, this is the thing that I love about culture. uh, it enriches our life when you take the time out to learn someone else's way of life, someone else's culture, someone else's background, because otherwise we think we live in a bubble and we don't. And that's the only way we get along and we learn to appreciate one another as human beings. And so I love every opportunity I
Well
get
said,
to speak
absolutely.
to someone and share.
And I'll keep going on ranting about myself.
Go
I
ahead,
the,
marvelous.
the people that I'm most proud of are my parents. So
Yes,
again, I said they moved here with $400 in their pocket to
yes.
a country that where they didn't know the language, they didn't know the laws. I'm I would never be so brave as to do that, but I'm so proud that they did. They moved here.
Mhm,
Their first job was decorating cakes at Publix, and ultimately everybody thinks, oh my God, why would they do that? But my parents came from essentially subsistence farming families. They would,
okay.
work the land. They would
Mhm,
harvest. They had cows. They had horses on both sides of my family.
mhm.
So decorating cakes in an air conditioned room isn't as hard as sowing and tilling the fields of
Yes,
Bosnia. So
yes.
um, luckily, we had the opportunity to experience the American dream. From that, my parents kept moving forward. And now my mom is the CFO of a company that works in the nuclear sector. And my dad has his own
Wow.
landscaping company. So uh, they've achieved the American dream. They've given me the opportunity to achieve it as well. I'm the first college graduate of my family. I graduated from the
Awesome.
University of Georgia back in 2015.
Okay.
And shortly thereafter, I joined my current company, Georgia MLS. I've been at Georgia MLS for about 6.5 years now. I
Mhm.
love it. I would say I joined for a paycheck, but I stayed for the people. Much like yourself, I've made a lot of friends in this industry, and
Yes.
I've heard a lot of wonderful stories. So it doesn't feel like work to me. I feel like I'm working for my friends, our members.
Mhm.
And when birthdays roll around, I get more love from the industry or life events than I do from
Yes.
my own kind of social circle. So
I I understand that. It is a family. It is a united front, and I love that. So tell me something, Muamer. What lens did you see the world through when you came to America?
I think so as the war happened, I was that was from me being born to 4 years old. So I don't have many memories of
Mhm.
Bosnia. I have memories of moments, but not everything. So
Okay.
when I moved to America, I didn't know why we were moving. I didn't know where we were moving. I was just kind of following my parents, and
Mhm.
I don't. I, the lens that I viewed it from, I would say it was kind of just an opaque lens. I didn't know
Okay.
what to expect. So, but
Awesome.
yeah, I learned to speak English through American TV, Power Rangers, and all the kids shows. And
That was my son's
yeah,
favorite show, Power Rangers.
but when I was overwhelmed when I moved to America by
Mhm.
how much there was. I mean, in Bosnia, we come from a village of 800 people in Bosnia,
Mhm.
if that. That's what the 2013 census says. But I can't imagine there's even 800 people there. So it's, I don't want to say Bosnia is run down, but we do not have the quality of life that we have here in America.
Mhm.
So even if you still go to Bosnia, I mean, there's bullet holes in the homes. There's minefields that are still active that you can't explore. The echoes of the war are very much so there. So moving to America, I mean, you look around, there's no bullet holes in the buildings. There's no, uh, you know, uh, buildings that have been blown up and just kind of left there. So it
Yes.
was very refreshing to see that, of course.
Mhm.
But I still think that I didn't really have kind of the what was the word I'm looking for? Kind of I I couldn't comprehend what was happening or why we were doing
Understood.
it at that time. And you know
Okay.
what? I mean, it's taken me. I turned 30 here next month. It's taken me 30 years to
Mhm.
really understand what happened in Bosnia, how that applies to my life,
Mhm.
and really what I can do with the bad energy that was created. My intention in my life is to take all of that and to convert it into good energy. I mean, I'm
Mhm.
a 6 foot, 200 pound guy. I consider myself my friend's protector. I don't allow people to bully people who I love. I don't like to see
Mhm.
that because ultimately my people were bullied and still continue to be bullied in Bosnia.
Yes.
So I am the voice for my people, and that's I carry that load on my shoulders. It's a heavy weight at times to carry, and I put a lot
Mhm.
of pressure on myself. But the reason why I do it is for the 100,000 people who died, those folks that had to run away from Bosnia and become a part of the diaspora, like myself.
Yes.
So there's a reason why I do what I do, and I want to make my parents proud of uh, their hard work and all the time and effort that they've put into making me the man that I am today.
That's awesome. So how do you, or, and I'm going to say, make sure I say this correctly, because what I'm trying to get from you is, how do you maintain your culture and your diversity in a what was a foreign land but no longer is foreign to you? But how do you continue to make sure that your culture is vibrant and live and living and breathing every day?
Okay, well, that's easy. Well, us Bosnians, we are a proud people. I think if you speak to, any Eastern European, they're hard-headed, very proud folks.
Mhm.
Um, so in Atlanta, we have about 10 to 14,000 Bosnian Muslims in the
Mhm.
community. We actually have a Bosnian community or Bosniak community center over in Grayson.
Mhm.
So, for holidays or for certain events, we'll go out there. It functions as a masjid as well, a mosque where prayer
Mhm.
occurs and everything. So we are connected to our culture through religion in that sense.
Yes.
Um, and honestly, we speak Bosnian in our household. My parents still speak Bosnian to me. We speak Bosnian American.
Mhm.
My Bosnian isn't the greatest. I can get around, but I think when I go over to Bosnia, they immediately know that I'm from America or from a different land.
Yes.
But as I've grown older, I've really well, let me rewind a little bit. So growing up and coming, you and I spoke briefly before we started here, but my name is Muamer Music. As soon as I introduce myself, people know I'm different, and they want to know
Yes.
why I'm different. And that was a lot of pressure on me growing up. Really, I just really wanted to be, just a regular guy. I didn't want to have that pressure. I didn't want people, what I perceived as judging me for my
Mhm.
name, for my culture, and so forth.
Yes.
So, I'd have my friends over, and I'd speak to my parents in Bosnian, and my mom would tell me something, and my parent or my friends would say, wow, she must be very upset with you. And I'd say, no, she just said I love you and to take care. I mean, that we speak with passion, we
Yes.
speak loud. So
Yes.
and I've made very much so an effort as I've gotten older to not forget where I'm from, to not forget my story, to share that story. At times I think some folks get annoyed by how much I speak about Bosnia and how proud I am of it. But ultimately, I don't care. I want people to know the story of what happened, because if I don't tell it, who
Yes.
will? I mean, and some people
Exactly.
don't. Some people not only don't even know where Bosnia is, but they don't know the history of Bosnia, and it's such a rich history as well. Of we're essentially the crossroads between East and West there.
Mhm.
So we've had a lot of empires come through and take control of Bosnia, from the Romans to the Ottomans to the Austria-Hungarians. So I would say even in Bosnia, there's a bit of an identity crisis where, as I mentioned, these folks are all folks from the same kind of ethnic background or genealogical background, but
Mhm.
they've chosen a certain religion, so they've kind of uh, they've started pushing each other away based on that, rather than coming together and saying we're all just different religions, but we're all the same people. So
Mhm.
yeah, I read up on Bosnia, I read books on Bosnia, and
Mhm.
that's something that I started here in my late 20s. I have an immense pride. The last time I went to Bosnia was 3 years ago, just before COVID, and
Yes.
I do plan on taking my girlfriend to Bosnia winter break to
Okay.
meet my family and to show her around and to
Oh,
show her
wonderful.
why I love this land so much. Because Bosnia, it's a land where everybody will treat you kindly, as long as you don't bring up politics or religion. But I think that's kind of the case
I think
around the
that's
world.
everywhere.
It's the case in the South as well. You know, that Southern hospitality, until you start talking about
Absolutely.
politics or religion, then
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love what you said though about how your friends thought that your mother was angry with you. I grew up in New York, and so my family background is my parents grew up in Charleston, South Carolina, but my great grandparents, one side's from Sierra Leone, the other side's from Barbados. And so, and then dialect mixed with Southern charm, right? Or, Charleston, South Carolina. And so my friend would come to my house, and when we got older, graduated from high school, she said, I never understood anything your mother said. I said, what do you mean? She says, I knew that your mom would always ask, how are you? I'd say, fine. She said, I knew the next question would be, how's school? I'd say, good. And she said, she would always ask, how's your mom? And I said, she's good. And she said, anything after that, I would just be like, mm-hmm.
yep,
Because my mom speaks really fast, and and so so you mix that with New York, and all these things. And so it's very interesting how we view one another's uh life, right? Because we don't, especially as children, we don't typically put it into a you're different than I so much, as opposed to or you may be different, but we normally don't care enough about it when we are younger. I think as we grow older, adults then begin to inflict their thoughts or their prejudice or their dislikes upon the younger mind, and that's how we sometimes develop. But I think as children, we all just see each other as another person to socialize with and to play with and to be friends with. And so I think as a child, you have the opportunity to learn so much more if you're open,
absolutely. And
because
and
you
it's on parents to share that with their kids and share the
absolutely.
right thoughts as well. I think I felt exactly like that growing up, from preschool to about, I know exactly when it was third grade, September 11th, 2001. That's when I
Uh-huh.
felt everything kind of changed for me as far as how my uh, fellow students viewed me. And, after
Hmm.
September 11th happened, I mean, I had kids calling me a terrorist and uh, essentially putting me with that group of those
Yes.
extremists. And, I'm in third grade, and I really didn't understand it. Why are my friends saying this to me? And, my teachers got wind of it. They pulled me to the side, and my teachers were very supportive of me. And for that, I very much so thank them. And but yeah, it was a tough time. I mean, that's when the identity crisis, I would say, started,
Yes. Yes.
where it's like, no matter how hard no matter how kind I am, no matter what I do, how good of grades I get or anything, I feel like at times people just kind of put me into this jail of being just different,
Yes.
rather than accepting me for the great things or the good things. They kind of find one negative thing and then they kind of brush me to the side. But it is what it is. Ultimately, I don't need those people in my life, and uh, I think, some of my friends will watch this video and they're not going to be aware that I'm Bosnian Muslim. And I think, some people will respect me for doing it. And I think some people will kind of
Mhm.
hold it against me, but ultimately, it is who I am. And I'm very proud of who I am. And I grow prouder of it every day. And my
Yes.
girlfriend has made me very proud of it as well, where, she's an American Texan, and she's, taken the opportunity to learn about Bosnia and tell me that it's okay to be proud, and she's proud of my story as well. And we want to
Absolutely.
pass. I mean, knock on wood. I'm gonna marry this girl, and once we grow
Oh,
family and everything, I really want them
beautiful.
to understand that they are Bosnian Americans, and they should be proud of where they're from. They should be proud of their grandfather for protecting the homeland, for protecting us, and
Yes.
um, uh, you know uh, during the war, I mean, air raids would come through, bombs would be dropping around our house. My mom has stories of taking me out as a baby, and we have in front of my grandparents' house is a little canal, and she would
Hmm.
lay in that canal, and you know, in
Cover
case that
you.
shrapnel came or something, I mean, it would
Yes.
hit her and not me. So, uh, yeah, I think when people see me, they don't ever expect this. They just expect, oh, this is Michael Smith from Coming Georgia, but yeah, there's a lot of pain behind the smile as well. There's a lot of processing that's still happening, I would say, to understand truly what happened in Bosnia. And right now, I mean, Bosnia is not in a great position, where we had our elections last Sunday,
Hmm.
and luckily, the Bosniak and then the Croatian faction, they have kind of uh, middle ground as far as their politics.
Hmm.
Uh, Leaders. Bosnia actually has three presidents. That's how little they can kind of figure out how to move forward. I mean, there's a lot of distrust between ethnicities at this point. I mean, especially
Hmm.
in Bosnia. I think the diaspora, the people who have moved out of Bosnia, I think we don't believe that Serbs are bad or Croats are bad or anything. But when the war broke out in Bosnia, I mean, neighbors turned on neighbors, lifelong
Hmm.
friends turned on lifelong friends, and it's I what is fascinating to me is how quickly, I mean, society can fall apart once you remove those key kind of factors like government or
Yes.
strong leaders. Um, so
I
Bosnia is
find.
still not in a great place, but
Mhm.
I have I really hope that the diaspora can come together and kind of bring Bosnia back, rather than, I think those people who are still holding it against one another,
Yes.
that see the echoes of the war every single day, and remember. I think us as the diaspora, we have a duty to bring Western ideas and Western forms of government
Hmm.
to Bosnia, or kind of more streamlined processes. So um, I don't know if I want to get involved in Bosnian politics, but I hope that my fellow members of the diaspora will get involved.
Well, your country is very intriguing to me because, like I said, the level of diversity, and it's not just culturally, it's also religion, right? And then politically, and so I- I guess it's the things is where we feel that many times that we forget to be human, right? We forget that we are all human beings, regardless of my religion, my culture, my gender, my thoughts, we're all human. And I think at times we get so caught in what we believe to be the right thing that we become blind and deaf to really what the right thing is. That everybody has the right to, as the pursuit of happiness, the pursuit of being able to live a good life and to provide for their families and to worship the God that they want to worship, or live where they want to live, or however, whatever it is that is the thing that people fight about and get into war about. But your country is very intriguing to me because, like I said, it's your diversity is not just gender, it's not just race, it's not just, it's religion, it's a layer of things that I think we could learn a lot from, and prayerfully that Bosnia does, emerge again as better than it was before. I mean, it's still alive and living, but to get better and to recover from what has happened and what's going on. So I think there's a lot to be learned from your culture, and with your attitude and the attitudes of those who are wanting your country to be healed and to be alive and vibrant again, I think, that definitely can happen. So you have a lot to share. You have a lot of culture to share. You have a lot of knowledge to share. And so, yes, yeah, you keep doing just what you're doing. There's no reason for you to shrink because you're not going to shrink anywhere.
And I try to, at times I hear even in American politics, the rhetoric that was used kind of in Bosnia of, blaming certain factions or blaming certain people. Uh, and I'm totally against that because um, I think sometimes politicians, they want to find a scapegoat for the issues. I mean, World War II, I mean, the Nazi government blamed, the Jewish community and the traveler gypsy community and so forth.
Hmm.
Um, and then during our war, everybody blamed the Bosnian Muslims and said, they're the reason for the issues here. Um, so I am a very much so a middle ground man. I don't think that one party or one person is the savior of our country. Everybody has to work together. All differing
Absolutely.
points of views have to come together. And,
Absolutely.
I, I would say some people are wrong in their views on both sides of the spectrum, but I think middle ground people, I think the majority of Americans are there in the middle ground. They just want
Yes.
they want to succeed. They want their fellow American and to succeed.
Yes.
So I think personally, America is the greatest country in the world due to our diversity. I mean, we're the melting pot of the
Yes, we are.
world. There is not a more, you go to Bosnia and you don't see racial diversity like you do here. I
Hmm.
mean, everybody is, white, Slavic. They've got this Slavic hairline with the widow's peak and everything. Um, but you have to look a little bit deeper to find diversity there, the ethnic group diversity. And, even within the Serbians, there's factions who, support Bosnian Muslims. So I can never say that any one party was at fault for it. I would say that
Yes.
my people, I can say that we just wanted a land to live in.
Yes.
I think we got taken advantage of by the whole world at that time. We see
Hmm.
what's happening in Ukraine at this time and the action from the world. Whereas in Bosnia, I think we kind of just got left there to figure it out ourselves. It was
Hmm.
unfortunate that the UN came in and they wanted to obviously stop the war from escalating. So they asked people to turn in their guns. A lot of Bosnian Muslims turned in their guns, thinking, if we don't have guns, we can't be the aggressors. We'll be taken care of. And then they left themselves disarmed essentially, and the Croatian Bosnians and the Croatian government and the Serbian Bosnians and the Serbian government kind of came to. There was a three-pronged war, so all three ethnicities were fighting all three ethnicities.
Yes.
Some were allies, and then those partnerships would get broken. So uh, yeah, it's surprising how fast everything can fall apart. And I think the most fascinating thing about all this is after the war ends, some people get tried at criminal tribunals at the Hague for war crimes.
Hmm.
Major Serbian and Croatian leaders, as well as some Bosnian leaders, Bosniak leaders, were tried at the Hague for war crimes. Uh, and I lost my train of thought, but yeah, the point I was trying to make is after the war ended, everything just kind of went back to normal. I mean, people went back to their homes and you look across the way and you see somebody who has committed war crimes, and you just have to
Oh,
kind of live with it because you don't have an avenue to take to find justice. And one recommendation, if you want to find out more about Bosnia, one movie that I can't recommend enough, it's called Quo Vadis Aida. It means so Quo Vadis means where are you walking, um,
okay.
and It is about the Srebrenica massacre, uh, where, as I mentioned, 8,000 plus people died in a matter of days. And it really highlights the inaction from the UN and from the world government that we put our full trust in, and we kind of just got left behind. So I can't recommend that enough. It was actually nominated for an international Oscar, Best International Movie. It did not win, unfortunately,
Okay.
but I can't. It's not a happy movie. It will
Yes.
break your heart, but to really understand what happened, that's one that I can't recommend enough.
Okay. Thank you. I will definitely, I'm going to do it because
And I
I,
think it's on
I,
Amazon Prime. So if you have Amazon Prime,
I
uh,
do. And I will definitely share and I will share with others. So I'm going to ask you a question. I think it'll probably be my last question. What do you think we can do differently to make improvements in diversity?
listen, just listen. I mean, as I mentioned before, the secrets of life are found in those small conversations. And so just listen and find those secrets, incorporate them. I mean, every culture has beauty in it. Every culture has something that you can incorporate to your daily routine, to your mentality, to your mind state. So
Mhm.
I just say listen, respect each other for all the differences, even if somebody is on the absolute other side of the spectrum, respect their humanity, respect
Yes,
their beliefs, respect their freedom to have the beliefs that they want to have. And uh, yeah, I mean, ultimately, the one thing I can recommend is just listen to everybody and give them a chance to speak, and don't just don't just be active in the conversation as well. I mean, ask more questions if you're unsure. And myself, I don't get offended if people ask me certain questions, and I don't think, oh, you're ignorant or anything.
mhm,
But I get offended if people don't ask questions. If they don't want to learn more, if they kind of just brush it off. You asked me at the beginning of this how to correctly pronounce my name. Again, it's Muamer, but I've been called Muammar, everything. None of that offends me. The one thing that offends me is I'm not even going to try to say your name, because that is my name. I wear it with pride, and yeah, it's ultimately a respect thing where, yeah, you just got to respect everybody for their beliefs, and just listen.
I appreciate that, and I totally agree with you. And I also feel like our name is the one thing that we are given that no one can take from us. And so it is important, like it is definitely a level of respect to take the time out, even if I have to ask you multiple times how I pronounce your name. Am I saying it correctly? And if I didn't get it right, to keep practicing to get it correctly. Um, just this little short story. Years ago, when I first moved to Georgia, I had a boss who kept calling me Irish. My name is not Irish. My name is Iris, Iris, no H. And so he continued to call me Irish. And I said, that's not my name. And one day he said, while we were in a meeting, he goes, what difference does it make? And I, you know, felt like, wow, really? So we were in a sales meeting, and it was, that was back in the day when you would have 30, 40 people at one big conference table for a meeting. And so I was addressing him, and I was like, Richard, Dick, Tom, and he goes, that's not my name. And I said, what difference does it make? And he got my name right, you know. And I said to him, I said, my parents gave me a name. Your parents gave you a name. Our name is our identity. And we should dare not be disrespectful of someone's name. And when we first started this conversation, I said, one of the things that bothers me is that when other cultures come to our country and they're not comfortable using their own names, or they change their names to an American name to accommodate us. And I think that's wrong, right? Because when we go to, when we visit other countries or we meet people of a different culture or background, you want them to get your name correct. Why wouldn't you take the time out to get that person's name correct?
Absolutely.
And so I just think, like you said, respect, humanity, being decent human beings to one another is where we all have to start. And again, listen. I may not always agree, but I do have to give you the opportunity to be heard and to listen and to respect.
Well
So,
said, Iris.
so I appreciate you so much today for coming on and joining me today. I have learned so much, and I'm going to learn some more.
And we'll keep discussing. We'll keep sharing each other's stories. I definitely want to know more about your story as well. And
Oh, thank you.
I know I'll be seeing you around. I'm immensely proud of you. I'm immensely proud to have you as a colleague and as a friend in this
Thank
industry.
you.
And yeah, what you're doing here, it's very important. So
Thank
don't
you.
stop, and please, please keep bringing in, those diverse cultures that people might not be aware of. And I hope folks have enjoyed, listening about Bosnia a bit. And if anybody has any questions, they can always reach out to me, and I'm more than happy to share.
I was going to say, you want to go ahead and share your information and how people can reach you and contact you if they do want to reach out to you.
Absolutely. So again, Muamer Music. I work for Georgia MLS. My email address is mmusic@gamls.com, and my direct line is 770-724-0747. So shoot me a text, give me a call, send me an email. I'd love to have a conversation with you. And if you want to know more, my door is always open.
Mama, it has been a blessing and a pleasure to speak with you today,
And
which I knew
likewise,
it was
Iris.
going to be from the first moment I met you.
Absolutely. Well, I hope I've made you proud today, and
Yeah, you have, but
I can't thank you enough for this opportunity. I very much so enjoyed it, and we'll keep continuing these conversations in person as I see you.
we shall. I appreciate you so much.
Of course. Hope you have a wonderful day.
You as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Talk to you soon.
Bye bye. You too.